Credit card's getting maxed.
Uh-oh.
Needs to breathe.
Uh-oh.
Where in the world are you?
I'm in Whistler today. Whistler, Canada, up in the mountains.
Whistler, Canada. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that in the middle, to the east or to the west?
It's
or the north or the south?
It's right on the west coast, but it's a ski village, just an hour and a half out of Vancouver. Yeah.
I thought Canadians just played hockey.
Oh, anything to do with cold weather, we're pretty good at it. Skiing, hockey, yeah. Well, curling is actually the big sport. I never got into it, but it's a big deal here.
You know, if I could do parenting all over again, I think I would do curling so my kids would clean up the kitchen floor.
Oh, there's an idea.
You like that?
There's an idea. Yeah. They don't get head injuries too, so.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of hockey players coming through?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like football, there's this machoism. But once the late Stu Donaldson, he did QEGs on the essentially the entire junior Canadian hockey league. And boy, oh boy, did he find some interesting information. He could actually figure out what position a person played based on the type of head injuries, you know, whether it's coup contre coup, whether you're being thrown into the boards a lot. I can't speak a lot. I don't want to be one of those people who pretends to know a lot about the game, but I do know, unfortunately, a lot about the head injuries of the game. But yeah, the enforcers got some nasty stuff.
Coup contra coup, is that front to back?
It can be anywhere. I mean,
it's just sloshing around.
Yeah, it's the boom boom or the boom boom. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Bad news all around. But you get some really interesting compensation patterns there. So you can frequently see the site of injury because you have a lot of slow wave, and then sometimes in the essentially literally the opposite spot, you can get these counter frequencies. So essentially you can get a lot of fast frequency trying to compensate for the injuries. It's pretty cool stuff if it weren't about injury. Yeah.
Do you see a difference between what happens with the hockey players and the soccer players?
Well, soccer, I mean, the bad news is the only injury you get is from the headbutting. And I know in junior teams, they're not letting the kids do that, which is great. I think it's a little too late, but I mean, the sport would be fantastic if they just took that out. Then, I mean, it's relatively safe for the head. I mean, you get your standard body injuries in any elite sport, but the explicit head injury. Yeah. So, but I'm conservative because I see all the hurt and harm, right? But, we all have different types of gladiators. Hey, Joshua, we're talking about head injury in sport again. Yeah.
Joshua, you feeling better? You look better.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Feeling better. I had like a pneumonia or something for like a month. Not good.
Or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I finally went on antibiotics, and then I learned, as Anthony said, which was absolutely true, is some antibiotics can block GABA receptors. So it's like, oh, that makes sense, because I just didn't need to sleep for like 4 days.
Did they put you on prednisone or anything?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I
respond pretty well to prednisone, but antibiotics are rough for me.
Yeah.
So
the roids I hear are rough. Messes with the blood pressure and the whole whatever. Clear those lungs, man.
Yeah, I do fine with the prednisone. It's the antibiotics that kick me in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in the tummy, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, until we get some questions in here, it's holiday time. Is there any specific cases coming in, or people are waiting until next year, or they're trying to exhaust their benefits? Like, what's going on?
You got Lynn's
Hey,
here.
Lynn.
Hello. Yeah. Well, I mean, we get our usual, people who want to fit in a little extra therapy before their insurance runs out. But for us, a lot of the time, it's the university students who come home and they want little tune-ups between between sessions, or sorry, between semesters.
Are they trying to play their parent?
I'm a bit slow. I mean, it's been a few days out, but I was on full anesthetic, and I don't notice it in my day-to-day, but when I have to talk, word retrieval is just like, whoa. I should zap myself to get out of it faster.
Just wonder if these kids are coming home from college and they're want to book something with you, so in case they got bad grades coming, they could say, "Oh yeah, that's what it is."
Yeah. But I mean, it's really nice to follow these young people through, because typically I would work with them in high school. And high school is a different game than college and university. And it's really sweet when they come back and want to tune up and such. So yeah.
Hey, Jahan's got a question for you, Dr. Marie. Waiting for next version of Clinical Q before I get it. Any update features?
Oh, don't worry, get it. Well, if you purchased it in the last little while, we'll give you the new one. Yeah, if you want to start, just start.
Now, what is she talking about?
Well, we have the Clinical Q available through Biofeedback Federation of Europe, and this is and you can run it on Thought Technology. It's 100% vetted, approved, built with the Swingle clinic. So, I mean, we really stand by it. There's also a version now available through IFE in Germany, and that one is compatible with Brainmaster. And again, vetted. There are many pirated versions out there, and I make an appeal, please don't get them. We work really hard to put all this together on our time and dime, as we say. But
Right.
And not just shameless promotion. I mean, if you want to get extraordinary, comprehensive data, 157 data points out of 20 minutes of data collection, we have interpretations and feeds. I do grand rounds through the BFE, etc. So we mentor, etc. It's very efficient. You literally can do your assessment in 20 minutes and give the feedback in the next 20 minutes. It's incredibly efficient, and it catches the majority of standard and non-standard symptoms, where we're looking at the 5 key regions of the brain that are implicated in almost everything.
Lynn's Brain has a question. Can you bring up low activity at sites that are from traumatic brain injury?
Well, I mean, when you do a full EEG, generally speaking, if you see a slow site, look at it. You get a lot of delta or theta going in there, and chances are that you can pick up where the injury is. Yeah. Lots of questions coming in for me here. It doesn't teach someone to make delta per se.
Wait, hold on. The question is, does a Swingle sleep app teach someone to make delta? Go ahead.
Yeah, what it does is it teaches the brain to slowly go into stage 1 sleep. So it's a facilitator. And in terms of which waves it does or doesn't work, yes, of course, what it's doing is it's bringing up slow wave activity, and probably more importantly, it's bringing down the fast activity. So wavelengths that are associated with perseveration. Most of us get overt insomnia or wake during the night, and we can't stop thinking. So it helps to turn that off and slowly coax you into stage 1 sleep. But there are many different features and programs on it. And if you work with a therapist, they can pair it for you. Again, you can also reach out to the clinic and we can give you some suggestions. But the instructions are very clear in terms of what to try based on what symptoms you or your client have. So yeah, I mean, obviously we're promoting this for pairing using with a clinician. So we have the Pro license that comes with an ally, which is the client, but you can just purchase it off of swinglesonic.com and get what we call the Flow version, and that's available for the general public. And you put in your data. There's some algorithms, and it tells you how you should program it all.
Boy, this is a Dr. Marie show. This is
Yeah,
great.
yeah, I'm not complaining.
So Joshua, you're getting back on your feet and everything.
Yeah.
I got a feeling that you were laying in bed just crunching out workbooks. Any updates? What's been going on?
Well, we did finish one of the phenotype classes and posted it. So I'm really proud of it. Jay liked it, and I like it. I think it was 3 months of work, which I wanted it to be a month of work, but ended up being 3 months of work. Turns out frontal lobe disturbances is a big topic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Makes it feel rather nasty.
Yeah. And there's a lot of things to consider, like if you want to, it's a provider level course. So you're learning about the TMS implications, and you're learning about the difference in different types of neurofeedback, like HEG neurofeedback implications, what's thalamocortical dysrhythmia, what's reward deficiency syndrome. We go into all that stuff. And so there, as I am teaching these classes, I'm filling in the gaps in my own knowledge, which is half the reason why I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. And then of course it takes more than a month. It takes like 2 to 3 months to get a module done. So it's going to take me a while to get the whole set done, but very, very rewarding, very, very, very useful for myself, for my staff, for my clients, and then eventually to some clients. We also started a handful of mentoring groups. So I've got, I think, 4 groups where I mentor people who've been taking the classes and would like to then review cues and consult and get some training on the raw data processing. And that's been a blast. So I enjoy it, and I'm excited to turn out more content. There's downsides to being sick, but there are some upsides. You get to kind of in a less productive way focus on your projects. So,
right. Well, we're glad you're back, Joshua. We missed you, man.
Yeah.
And
I like it personally.
Hold on, back to Dr. Marie. This is the Dr. Marie show. So will your app work to bring down high beta?
Yeah, so the anterior cingulate is highly targeted, and we look at high beta as well as what I call standard beta, 16 to 25. So yes, those are highly targeted in both the brain quiet program. So the brain calm is the actual name of it, brain calm. That one quiets without sedation. Versus the insomnia, and the name of that app is called Sleep. That does target the over-arousal again, but it does sedate.
Yeah.
It's all extremely fine-tuned. Yeah.
Posted where, Lynn wants to know?
Posted where? Well, you can go to swinglesonic.com. And that's where you can read up on it, and that's where you can get it. We've done a couple of presentations through AEPB, ISNR, and BFE, where we really, really show the detail of the data and exactly what it does with all of our participants, all of the clinical trials. And again, if you back channel me and you want to chat through and you want more specifics, you bet. I'm all about the data. I'm all about the data.
Till we get another question, I'm kind of wondering if you put an EEG on a kid and when they wake up and they go down and they see the tree filled with presents, what's going on in the EEG? And when they're opening the present and it's something that they like and then they don't like, I don't have to look at an EEG to know that, but I'm just wondering, because, they'll just socks, shirts, what's going on in the EEG when they see all that stimulation? Oh, Santa arrived and these are my presents. Oh, I didn't want this appointment. Then the next present, they're excited.
You can answer that question a couple different ways. That's the concern. And so
all right,
Dr. Marie is going to have different answers, and they're going to be just as valid as my answers, because you can answer it from the triple network theory and you can answer it from the ERP theory. And they're both valid answers. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Dr. Marie? Because I would say there's a couple of, you're going to be in the salience and executive network primarily, but you're also going to have specific ERPs based off of responses.
Yeah. I mean, the ERP is the easiest way to look at this. It's, it's the surprise. But one of the things that I've been noticing since I would say the technical age is we don't get we don't get as extreme highs and lows. We get in this hyper arousal state. So it's a go crash, go crash, go crash. And it's interesting, Pete, because you mentioned, the disappointment in socks and things. Even that. I mean, I don't want to be too judgy, but I am going to be judgy. Gee, sorry. But yeah, in terms of reward and disappointment and lack of gratitude. Josh, who was doing the work on gratitude?
There's a couple people.
Yeah.
I know the cliche example, but Brene Brown has some research on it, but she's more on self-compassion. But she has done gratitude work. That's probably not who you're thinking of, though.
No. I'm still going to blame it on anesthesia. I don't know how long I can keep that up, but yeah. But no, I mean, you get these cute little sparks, that's for sure. Yeah.
With autistic individuals, we generally recommend that you spread the Christmas day out across a few days. If you're having like a low functional autistic kid and they really do get a lot of gifts, you want to diffuse the stimulation across several days, which is a little bit like, it's hard for the parent to accept, but once they try it, they're like, no, that's the right call. Because, they actually take it and they see joy at a tolerable amount spread out over several days rather than, too much stimulation that ends up in a very quick crash and that they never quite see the positive experience from it. And so sometimes you have to rebuild family culture, for low functioning autistic cases. And that's part of the dialogue, is consider spreading Christmas out over a few days.
Or you can be Grinchy and give people one gift.
Yeah. Which is more how our family's evolved a little bit. Yeah. We do the Secret Santa. One person buys one gift for one person.
Yeah.
Lynn, that's QEEGcourses.com. It won't let me type it in the comments or I would have replied, but it doesn't let you do links in the comments. So just QEEGcourses.com is where I have those classes listed. If you do subscribe to it, you get the best discounts on future modules. So I kind of discount it for people who want to buy the up-to-date courses. And then if you get into your emails, you'll get the best deals for follow-up modules.
Such a deal. So back to the autism, I didn't even think, what is going on? I mean, is the filter just not, it's letting everything in and they're just taking over? Like what's going on?
There's different types of autistics.
I know there's spectrum, I get it, but give me the middle of the bell curve. What's going on?
Some of them literally process too much information at one time, and that's your low latent inhibition syndrome cases. That's not all of them, though. That's just some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them have processing issues where they don't process enough information fast enough. Some of them have frontal lobe disturbances and their brain just runs too fast. And you just got a lot of different types of autistics out there. So you want to look at what the failure mode is for that particular autistic. I don't know what your opinion, Dr. Marie, is on this, but it does seem like there's something like 4 subtypes,
Yeah, and we're learning more and more and more. I think a lot of folks are, just opening the box and saying, wow, we have way too much in here that, whether it just might be easier to put it under the title of autism. But I mean, it is an inability to regulate stimuli is to either see stimuli, process stimuli, regulate stimuli. That's all very, very common. Yeah.
Joy to the world. ISNR.
Yeah.
We depend on our brains staying mostly predictable. Giant changes would impact your control over blood pressure, blood sugar, or respiratory rates.
Yeah.
Joy, we miss you. Come on, Joy. Come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, this is where, when we talk of HRV, et cetera, there are different bio elements or ways that you can get into that. But I mean, of course, it's all interconnected.
Sensory integration is almost always found with all varieties of autism. Also, some folks who are not autistic have SI problems. What's SI?
Sensory integration.
Sensory entry. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's like when people just go to acronyms too quickly. Sometimes it takes a moment to process it. Ha ha ha. Yeah. It's all about sensory integration, and we're playing more and more, as I said, with arousal levels. And well, I mean, the other component of individuals with autism is, why, for example, they're very, very attracted to interactive technologies, right? So you get all kinds of sensory information without needing to process emotional information. So it's all interesting. It's all pretty interesting.
Hey, Radar, welcome back.
Hello.
I put our next Q&A will be January 7th, I think. I loaded them up so people can go to see where it is, because it's kind of sketchy now in the holidays, and just want to kind of clue people in when to expect this, because they want to ask questions like, Radar, can neurofeedback correct lazy eyes? Strabismus. Gesundheit.
Which clinic? There's the famous clinic. It's going to bug me. I'm going to remember his name. He'll come to me later. But they have an optometrist, a famous optometrist, working at one of the research clinics, who would comment more on that. I don't know how much of it's published, but I'm sure Dr. Marie would agree. We do see that happen. And we generally get calls from optometrists asking, hey, what are you doing? I want to know more about what you're doing. And so there are optometrists joining our fields, and they are working in research. It's going to really bug me. But there is a famous optometrist that now works at one of the well-known clinics, and I wish I could remember his name. But the optometrist that invented and patented the prism glasses, he's now in neurofeedback. So we do have a lot of interest by that field because it does do some things that you wouldn't expect it to do.
So wait a minute.
I'm going to make a joke about you and I being a pair today, Joshua, with half memories. But I mean, lazy eyes. What is a lazy eye? How do you have a lazy eye? Is it a matter of, not learning how to track properly, or is it a muscular issue? There are so many answers, but a lot of tracking work.
David Cantor's clinic. Sorry, keep going.
You got it? Okay. Yeah.
David Cantor's clinic.
What was it, Joshua?
I had to get it out. Sorry, Maria, go ahead.
Wait, Joshua, what was the clinic again?
David Cantor's clinic is the one that has the optometrist that works for him, who's a researcher. I just before I forget, I want to get that out. Sorry, Maria, go ahead.
No issue. So you can do tracking work, very simple tracking work as you're doing the neurotherapy. That can help sometimes. Also, check out craniosacral therapy. Can be a really, really good complement to neuro, and can also help with eyes as well. So, yeah.
So New Year, New You, is it the time of year where the gyms get really busy for like 2 weeks in January and they go dead? Do you get a lot of that coming in? Like, what should we mentally get ready for that? New Year's resolutions, any of that type of stuff?
January through March can be the busiest time of the year for us. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the reason why I start to giggle is the problem is people take on too much, like totally new you. If it were that easy, well, you would have done it long ago. So I always suggest that people take one small goal, not necessarily even the most important, but something that's small and achievable, and then you build on that. Because if the goal is too big, it's kind of like why diets work and then don't work. Anybody can eat only grapefruit for 2 weeks, but you can't sustain it, right? And you drop 1 million pounds doing it. But I mean, honestly, if you ate lollipops for 2 weeks, you'd lose weight as well. It's about the mass.
Ozempic lollipops.
Yeah, geez, yeah. Actually, it's almost frightening to see people, particularly celebrities that I haven't, seen here and there, just to, like, these are totally different people. It's almost spooky.
Yeah. What's with the shaming on the people that are taking the fat shots? That, but whatever you can do to make it work, or I
don't know. I mean, I think that there's the really beautiful positive component in terms of people starting to get their health under control, whether it's diabetes, obesity, people being able to move and partake in sports and enjoy their families more. I mean, there are lots of real positives, but there's also the extreme negative. And here I'm going to talk about, in particular, females and this, the beauty myth, about how everybody should be a certain weight. And if you actually look at, the desired goal that's projected on women, it's actually 10, and more pounds underweight, but keeping your breasts, so that's the irony here.
Right.
So there is, I think, this very, very dark side to this about how it's promoting malnutrition.
We could all agree on the extremes,
Yeah.
applications, but that's not where it's all landing.
Yeah. The other thing that we need to put on, I think the positive, again, is it reduces cravings, so it can be really good for overeating. It can be good for certain forms of addictions, but it also reduces the desire for pleasure. Okay, so people don't enjoy eating anymore, and there are also lots of reports on how it's really, really mucking up libido, right? So you might be nice and skinny, but if you lose interest in your partner, I'm trying to be sarcastic here. That does wonders for your relationship, right? So that you have to look at the negatives with the positives and the neutrals and all of that.
I've heard Jay talk about training down a hot singlet, but then
Yeah.
also training up beta at FC to learn how to control activation at the singlet. How does that work?
Well, we both can. Do you want to take it first, Josh, or?
I would just say that the amount of beta we train up at FC is limited compared to the amount of training down the failure modes, and that's because you can get more salience than you bargain for, but you're not likely to have that same problem if you're doing suppression training. So like if you're training down the failure modes of theta, alpha, and high beta, it's a lot more forgiving than training up mid beta. And so there comes with a caution. I don't train mid beta up at FZ more than like 6 to 8 sessions, and you'll get some in post Q at like 6 to 8 sessions. That comes with a warning. Like people shouldn't just be training up a ton of mid beta at FZ, because you'll get it and you don't necessarily want it. That's my thought. So
yeah, no, I'm with you. This is one you want a really, really tight lens on it. So we look at high beta or gamma, and we look at, again, what I call standard beta, 16 to 25 hertz. And we look at the ratio and also the total power, right? So sometimes you want to bring both down. Sometimes you actually, want to do a little bit of one of the betas up and the other one down. So this is extremely client specific. I'm going to loop it into autism. You get that one right, and you can change the life of the individual and everyone who cares for them. You get it wrong, you make the condition more severe. So really, really watch your data very closely. But in difference to Joshua, I find sometimes beta, the high beta ratio is kind of like whack-a-mole. You get it, goes down, right? So it can take a long time, as opposed to training other waves in other regions. It's a more, I joke, the stubborn wave is very, very stubborn, or the anterior cingulate is the most stubborn region of the brain.
That's what the research reflects too. It's a tough one doing a literacy review on it, unfortunately, and that's because that's where your failed research comes from, is the anterior cingulate.
Exactly.
You've got more muscle artifact, and you're training under attention failure. That's not great timing.
But when you get it, and you can change lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are some great training around the problem.
Should we be training down the cingulate and then follow it up by training it up? Jay talked about it in relation to athletes, and I'm going to ask Jay on the site about this as well, Radar. Thanks for the question.
Marie said it best. It's case by case.
Yeah, you have to be so careful. We've talked about this before. It's, when the betas are high, it's also associated with drive. So, I mean, if you're an elite athlete, you don't want to monkey with that. I don't mind sharing that mine is outrageously high, and I love it because it allows me to produce. But when we work with top executives or people at the top of their game, we always gauge, okay, it's working for you at work, but are you more argumentative at home? You know, the stubbornness or this drive that really pushes you ahead in one area can really drag you down in another way, because it can turn into my way or the highway. So this is where there's no standardized protocol. I wouldn't do any of this stuff too remotely. Like you need to be working side by side and really fine tuning. These also tend to be more longer term clients, because it's kind of like the analogy of a muscle, right? You're constantly training to keep it at the right strength, not overtrain it. I'm not worried about undertraining at this point, but it's so delicate and so specific.
Agreed.
And gender here and age are very relevant as well.
Yep. Josh, Jay seemed like he was saying you could get the best of both worlds by training it down and up, but I may have misunderstood him.
Yeah, it's a different. There's something else going on there. Jay refers to a balance and counterbalance, which doesn't actually mean you're training it up and down. With the hot singlet, you're really referring to failure modes that you can train down and you don't want them. You're not going to be training down low beta or mid beta ever. You should never do that. It's very rare that you need to do that. What the balance and counterbalance montage is that Jay talks about is usually going to be some sort of sensory motor rhythm training that teaches the brain how to essentially disconnect from the frontal lobe and be able to have low arousal again. That if you just train up the frontal lobe function, they're not going to feel like they need sleep. They're not going to be able to turn their frontal lobe off to get to sleep. And they're not going to appreciate that very much. They might have a hard time getting to sleep, and they'll probably end up waking up with more energy than they'd expect, but they need more sleep. And generally, you'll do sensory motor rhythm training to teach the brain how to get in and out of the frontal lobe. And that's what Jay recommends, and that's what Jay talks about with the balance and counterbalance montage. And that sounds a lot like what you're describing, which is what I think that was.
Is the hot singlet related to inflammation? The reason I ask about inflammation is because people seem to become more OCD after minor head injuries. Depends.
Yeah, it's. I mean, not directly, but there's lots of indirect reasons. I've seen that myself. I have literally cases that pop into my head when I read that, when he said that. But it's not distinctly inflammation, but it is dysfunction. It is a failure mode, and injuries are going to increase the failure mode.
And don't forget also, you're very rarely only looking at one region and one or two waves. You know, if you have a frontal head injury, you can also be dealing with an imbalance over left and right. So it's the combination of those three regions that you're dealing with. Yeah.
Well, can we make it more complicated just for fun, Maria?
Sure.
you have the coup contra coup, which is where you got hit. Then you have where it bounced against the skull on the back of the head, generally, if you had a frontal injury. Then you have the corpus callosum. It usually gives you like a delta signature, which is a different injury from, so the hemispheres not being distinctly connected except for one location. And then, of course, you've got inflammatory neuromarkers. So you've got all kinds of things you have to look at with an injury. It gets fun.
Well, fun for us, not for the person.
No. Well, speaking of which, I bought a hard chamber HBOT system. I'm getting it next week.
Okay.
Yeah. What is that, Joshua Moore?
It's a pressurized oxygen chamber. When I was in the military and I was doing the life flights for the President's Hospital, we had access to things like neurofeedback, biofeedback, infrared light therapy, CES and HBOT. And they used all this stuff in the President's Hospital for politicians and celebrities and wounded warriors. And that's kind of what got me into the field, was doing it in the military. And one thing that I took away from that was like HBOT was really cool. And I always wanted to get a hard chamber. And I actually spent time at the 2018 International Hyperbaric Oxygen Therapy Conference as an ambassador. I got sent over there to represent neurofeedback. So I've learned a lot about it. I've studied it for years and years and years. I introduced a lot of practitioners and researchers into the field to it. Finally thought it was time to just get my own. So I hired a doctor and got my own HVAC chamber.
Now, hold on. Is this like what the athletes use where you go in to get more oxygen, to help you recover? Okay.
So think of it like double the atmospheric pressure at double the oxygen.
Wow.
Yep.
And
You
what
do
are the
90
what are the?
minutes.
I know it depends, but like, what are the top 3 reasons why I would buy that thing and put it right behind me? And
It doubles, it literally doubles cell mitosis. So you'll close an injury in half the time. And that's what we would use it in the military for. But it's also been shown to work on PTSD. We don't know why. There's good theory, though. And it's also been shown to show significant effects in QEGs with brain injuries or vascular ischemia. There's a lot of reasons why you'd refer someone to it.
just a quick question: when a dog is afraid of fireworks, you buy him that jacket to put it on. Is that sort of like the same principle, or am I the video editor is getting ahead of his skis? You know, I'm talking about the jacket the dogs wear.
I think it's more a vagal nerve thing. Do you think so, Dr. Maria?
I think it's kind of like weighted blankets and the cozy feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, vagal nerve. I think that's vagal nerve. Yeah. It's like the autistic, heavy shirt kind of thing.
Could you use the therapy like CBT to deal with downsides of having a hot singlet so that you could keep the good effects without the negative ones?
Brain Lock. That's the book on it. There's literally a book on it called Brain Lock.
Yeah.
It's about CBT for hot singulates.
Okay.
Brain Lock. I'm putting
And
it
it references QEGs and it references the anterior cingulate in QEG. So it's literally integrating both fields.
I'm not a huge fan, though. Actually, I'm going to fill that down. I find, CBT, it takes so much effort to remember all the rules, et cetera, et cetera.
Just fixed it.
But, yeah.
Just fixed it already.
Yeah.
I know.
So, I mean, we're all biased towards our own methods and own profession, but I prefer working with the EEG.
Yeah.
So low pressure.
We couldn't find some solution for, that stuck with it. So I agree with you, Dr. Maria.
Low pressure versus high pressure chambers, Joshua.
You got to get to at least 2 atmospheres to get consistent results. And this is evident if you read the literature, you get good results with 1.3 to 1.4, but just not always. And once you get to 2 atmospheres, the data kind of clears up a lot. And so we bought a 2 atmosphere chamber.
So what symptoms am I know it depends. I get it, but I'm in the middle of the bell curve, and I'm asking Santa for a gift, and I want to get the.
You want a $100,000 gift?
Better not be disappointed. That's what you're.
Thank you, Santa.
But you mentioned PTSD. What else would I use it for? I'm just thinking I know with athletes when you got a physical injury, but is there anything else that you would do with those? Like what?
Well, we all know when we do a brain map on somebody, it doesn't matter what they come in reporting. Sometimes you're going to see vascular ischemia. Sometimes you're going to see global slowing. You're going to see all kinds of things that you weren't expecting to see based on their report. You start to dig a little deeper, and you start to wonder, okay, we've got something from somewhere, whether it's internal, external, that is harming the central nervous system. And you don't necessarily know that from the initial intake paperwork. Yeah, you kind of do the intake paperwork, you do the brain map, and then you kind of have to dig a lot deeper with some extra assessments to get to the bottom of some of these odd findings you see in some of these brain maps. And some of those end up going on to HBOT. And sometimes it's the neuromarkers for vascular ischemia, and sometimes it's the global or the regional slowing that triggers you to start investigating in that direction.
Joy to the World says it keeps divers from getting the bends if they surface too fast. That's nitrogen, right?
Yeah. Well, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, they usually use 7 atmospheres for that kind of thing. So they'll put them under a HBOT chamber and put them up to 7 atmospheres very quickly. It's very dangerous for epileptics or people who are prone towards seizures, people are prone towards instabilities or paroxysms. They can actually, have their first seizure in those cases. So you have to be careful with it. We don't have seizures below 3 atmospheres, though. They are none reported ever. You also have less flammability risks with a condenser versus oxygen tank. So there's lots of ways to remediate risks. It's historically used for, the bends, but ever since like the 17th century, you've had kings that would go down in dumbbells because they identified the health benefits from it. There are lots of broad studies showing even, a reputable journal publishing that there's lengthening of telomeres from doing long dives, meaning you're doing dives for consecutive days. And they don't fully understand the mechanism behind that, though there's some interesting theory. we do find it to be quite useful for, you could say, wound care. But what isn't a wound is an interesting question, you know? What doesn't qualify as a wound? And there's actually lots of things in the nervous system that seem to qualify, and you do see the brain improve a lot. So for example, why do we see that every time you increase inflammation, the risk of depression increases? And why do you see when depression increases, the risk of inflammation increases? Why are those two sympathetically linked? That's a really interesting problem. And then you find that there is benefits for depression using HBOT. You know, it's like we don't understand these connections yet.
One of the things, though, you know, in terms of, you know, do no harm to self, if there's a trade-off with when you breath hold too long, you can go the opposite. So that should be mentioned in case somebody's going to go out there and buy some dumbbells and, and jump off the boat.
Go buy a dumbbell and put yourself under the ocean. Yeah.
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 Well, I don't know. Holiday time is coming. They can
Yeah. Yeah.
What would the squiggly lines tell you that would make you think to use a HBOT?
There is a particular behavior within the slow edge of alpha that makes you think about it. And then there also is going to be specific kinds of spindling frontal lobe beta generally that are going to make you think about it. There's certain types of beta that are not indicative of typical beta that might be indicative of low perfusion rather than excess perfusion. It's more like an F3, F4 type beta that might be higher risk for, you know, low perfusion rather than high perfusion, which is typical for beta. So you can kind of tell if you look at a lot of injured cases, you can see the trend in, oh, this is not the same kind of beta as like a gene 4 alcoholic. This is a different kind of beta. This is one you see after a big injury. And you can learn to recognize that. So slow edge of alpha, some types of high beta.
So if you get a head injury like a concussion, would you go into these things to help reduce the swelling, or it doesn't work like that? Like,
yeah, it's a bit of a commitment because you got to do like a 30-day dive. You have to come in daily. But there is lots of, you know, medium-sized studies published on it. That's quite interesting. I've gotten insurance to pay for it a handful of times. You know, I just write a letter and they say, sure. You know, we generally do a pre-QEG and a post-QEG, and I get phenomenally quick results within 30 days that you would not be able to get in training. And that's why I keep using it. I was having a hard time convincing, you know, very, very high level neurofeedback people that it was legitimate. And so I started bringing them pre-post data. And that's when they started going, okay, yeah, there's something to this, because they just need to see the real data.
one more, Josh, how does HBOT relate to HEG training to increase perfusion?
Well, a lot of HEG training is targeted reward deficiency syndrome, and I'm not sure it would work. I wouldn't think to put one of those, you know, cases in HBOT. I'm not saying it wouldn't work. I just hadn't thought to do that. Yeah, so there's a lot of HEG. I would say I use a lot more often than I use HBOT.
Is it easier to get paid from the insurance companies on the chamber, or getting paid on neurofeedback? I know the numbers are higher in neurofeedback, but I'm just...
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. It's just all case by case. If you have like an auto incident case, you know, I just put a bunch of citations in that I feel are the more reputable journals from the more reputable studies, and make my recommendations based on the neuromarkers that have citations. And I'm surprised at how often they approve it. So it's a lot of auto injury cases, and the auto insurance seems to go for it most of the time, which is a little bit surprising to me. But you just make an argument and say, this is what I recommend based on, you know, these correlating findings, and like, okay, you say, sure. So, you know, I would say that auto injuries are pretty amiable based on the way that I write my notes, I think. Don't generally have issues with that. I don't know if other people are doing that, but that's what I've been doing. I don't know why, but HBOT needs to go through a little bit more often than neurofeedback does.
I wish there was a viewer. I wish there was a viewer that's on this, watching us right now, that would know something about insurance codes to pipe in.
Oh, you mean like Joy Lynn? Joy, where are you? I know you're here.
Yeah, Joy. That would cover us for another 30 minutes.
Gosh,
All right.
if we do get insurance coverage, like a year from now, it's going to get messy. We're going to have to do some quality control issues, Dr. Marie.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be our full-time job after this. You know that, right? We're not going to be in clinical work, you and me.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, I think the amount of neurofeedback clinics will explode if we get insurance coverage, and that will be a big problem in the short run.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be really experienced clinics,
Yeah, we already have that problem. And
yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I
you
agree.
get me on my soapbox all the time. It drives me crazy. It really drives me crazy. And this is what I mean. Bless BCIA, but the entry level is being considered by the general public as somebody really knowing a lot. So, yeah, I don't know how we get the word out in terms of work and scope, and how can providers tell the difference? How can clients tell the difference? But my big concern is MDs, psychologists, psychiatrists can't even tell the difference. So it's an issue.
Well,
and I would also say that I think the quality control for general psychotherapy is pretty poor too. But I think that we should do better. So.
What are the CPT codes for HBOT? Someone from ISNR.
I've never had a doctor undersign it, and so if there are some, I will have to figure that out in January, because I've never had a doctor contract with us before, but we do now. So I will look into that. I'm not sure if they have any. They probably might, but if they do, I haven't done the labor yet. So mostly before with insurance, I've mostly just made a petition for coverage, and they said sure, and they didn't fight us on it, so it just kind of worked. Again, these are auto injury cases; they seem to just go through.
Is there a reason to think we're on the cusp of getting insurance coverage, and then wah wah wah?
We are nowhere near getting the coverage yet. I mean, there are some updates that seem promising, but because there's new codes being issued in 2027. And it depends on what work they do in between now and then. And Joy knows a lot more about that than me. And I'm not sure if I should be optimistic or pessimistic. But we do have new codes. Our codes are changing in 2027.
If Joy were watching or listening, is she optimistic?
Just one, Josh. There's a code? Okay, she said there's a code. Okay.
Just one. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll look at.
I've been watching, in certain chat rooms and things, and people. I mean, people are doing some work on it. So who knows? Who knows? Yeah.
The auto insurance companies absolutely have paid for it without a code. They have. So, and it's possible that the referral source that we had used the code. So it looks like she's on it. She's got a code. I'm just going to copy that right now.
Well, Jay and for all the moms and dads out there wondering what the hell we're talking about, pay no attention. Ask your primary care physician first. HBOT code ICD-10 is G0277 or G0277. The problem is that it is only for the indicated conditions, which are not many.
Fair enough. We weren't planning on using insurance for it, just to be clear. We were just planning on using it at a ridiculously low cost because we wanted to. We do want to have a doctor to undersign it just because that's how we feel it should be, not because we're trying to pursue insurance.
Well,
with anything here, we all need to have our teams around us consult. And I say that should hold true no matter what level you're at. No matter how experienced you are, consult. Yeah.
The thing that we're not sure about is the value that will be given to the insurance industry. I only know what 10 years of working in the project taught me. I hear you, ISNR, ULQ, whoever you are.
I mean, the other one. I mean, if we want to just kind of go there too. I mean, if you get a black box program, press a button for depression, and you expect to get decent, insurance coverage versus somebody who really, really looks at the EEG, reads the EEG, selects protocols based on the person and what they know of the condition and the symptoms, et cetera, et cetera. They're entirely different. And, apart from the box push a button programs being dangerous, I mean, there's no knowledge, there's no time. I mean, yeah, don't get me going. You've heard me say this a million times.
All right, Jahan's given us some good orders here. How do you approach reward deficiency syndrome, or is it just cue driven?
Well, there's different types of reward deficiency syndrome. Thalamocortical dysrhythmia is identifiable if you use independent component analysis, and generally, if they have the right type of mental health history, they can use TMS. And there are TMS protocols, but they're very, very specific, and the TMS clinics may not even know them. And so there's that. You can do frontal lobe blood flow training through like HE3 or FNIRS training. You can do neurofeedback and train down whatever failure mode is, pushing, that, which is usually theta, or tonic theta, I should be more specific. And, there's a lot of ways. Usually we hedge our bets. In our clinic, we do multiple modalities because we have not a super high, but we have a higher rate of non-learners for frontal lobe disturbances. So we like to hedge our bets by applying multiple modalities.
It's me. Looks like we may get one new code that will start January 2027.
Just one. Wow. I thought it was more than that. Just one, huh? Okay. All right. Just one.
It's just around the corner.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a good correction. Just one new code. Okay.
All right.
I thought it was more dramatic than that.
So all the people that are getting ready to pay that subscription to the health club and all that, what is causing these people from not staying motivated to keep going on their goals? Dr. Marie brought up they don't have SMART goals. What is it? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and tangible. I think that's what SMART stands for. But what else is going on in the brain, the inner workings there that people just can't, like, is that where you need like your anterior cingulate to lock on something to get into a habit, or am I off?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you've got a hot cingulate and you lock on, you can do it. But the catch is when you achieve your goal, then you're going to need something else to lock onto.
Yeah.
But it's desirable to have a flexible cingulate and to be able to lock on in like a controllable way, which is not going to usually be a failure mode. If it's a sustainable, controllable, expression, it's not going to be a failure mode. Yeah. I like to teach my clients stages of change, which typically comes from addictions work, but it has much, much broader utility. Yeah. There's pre-contemplative, which is I'm not thinking about how my behavior affects my experiences, and there's contemplative, which is where you're trying to connect your behavior to your experiences. Then there's planning, which is actually where you're daydreaming about how you could be different and what you might do. And then action is where you're actually acting upon it. And the theory behind the stages of change is very simple. You don't get to skip steps. And if you want to move through the steps faster, you have to acknowledge what step you're in and do more of the step that you're actually in. Trying to skip steps only sabotages you and creates internal resistance. And if you actually accept that, people will move through the stages of change quicker. It's a very useful thing to learn. It's not typically taught in regular psychology because it's part of addictions work, and they're somewhat separated, which is not good.
Is that where I'm going to throw some fancy words coming out of my mouth? You got the internal locus of control and the external locus of control. And one of the keys is you want to feel like you have control of your outcomes. Some people don't want to have control of their outcome. Does that play a role? And what do those fancy words mean? Does that just help you focus and not worried about the unknowns, that you're just dealing what's in front of you, or what is it?
Well, it depends on the goal too. I mean, sometimes it can be very helpful to have a racket behind you, pushing you along. If it's something you don't enjoy doing, you don't want to do, serves no purpose in life except to jump a hoop, right? So external then makes a whole lot of sense, right? So we're back to your it depends there, Pete. Yeah. But I think back to the big question, I think you really have to look like, what is your objective? Like, is this a big picture or a small picture change?
The motivation is, when my pants don't fit, okay, I got to go working out. But you know what? I'm just going to buy sweatpants. There, fixed. Problem solved. Did I break Joshua?
No, it just
Trying to
reminded
sound
me of that.
intelligent.
It just reminded me of that book, How to Make Home While Drowning. It's a good book by a therapist who had postpartum depression. Excellent book. And she talks about what kind of skills are useful. And she says things like that, like, why do you fold all your clothes? Do you really need to fold all your clothes? Is that a care task that really serves you? And she just has weird, witty lines in the book that make me laugh, just like you. Just that reminded me of that moment. It's a great resource for people struggling.
That's good. I'll take
if
that.
you're struggling with organizing your life and it feels too much like chores, that book is really used. It's How to Make House While Drowning or How to Make Home While Drowning. It's one of those two names. But she says witty things like, find a pile of mess and put a box under it. It's like, I can do that. I can put a box under a mess. It's just reframing. You're
taking the humor out of it, but I mean, you do got to get your mind right to get into a routine, because you need about 21 days to make a habit, whatever it is. As long as you can get in that habit and get going, and it's whatever's stopping you. What neurofeedback? I know it depends. You need to see the raw data, but what side of the brain do you need to get a little bit better regulated to stay in a way to accomplish your goals?
It's so hard to answer because you want to say left hemisphere, but that's not true. Go ahead, Marie. Dr. Marie.
No, it depends. Follow the cue, follow the map. For some people, it's going to be the balance of the frontal lobes. For other people, it's going to be the quieting. It really, no pun again. It varies. It depends. It varies so much by individual. And sometimes the readiness factor is that you haven't thought things through, and sometimes it is an EEG issue. So, I mean, the whole peak performance industry is built on this, right? And a lot of people, they're not in stage of excellence and wanting to, or they're not at good and wanting to peak. A lot of individuals are, quote unquote, non-clinical or in clinical denial, and they come in for betterment, but we're actually doing clinical work, and then we continue into the peak performance. But it varies incredibly for individuals. You talk about motivation. Josh was speaking about, the anterior cingulate and how that affects sleep, right? So you can have the drive component, but then if you want to work on the occiput or you want to work on the cingulate, it all really is going to depend.
Postpartum depression, does it respond well to neurofeedback?
My wife's did.
Yeah. I think that the postpartum and counseling are a beautiful combination. And the reason for counseling is expectations of women themselves, new mothers themselves, and individuals around them. The hormonal component that makes sense to kind of go through. But when the hormones and the depression symptoms just aren't enough to explain. But, in terms of why a lot of females get this down, it doesn't necessarily mean or need to be a down. It could be a bonding with the new infant. But because of all of the other expectations, either before the pregnancy or after, a lot of women, you have to be very careful in terms of how you speak with your family members and your partner. They're actually very disappointed after the new arrivals. Like, is this all there is, right? And that's where talking through a lot of it, as well as look at the hormone imbalances and look at the EEG. It's much more complex, and you can get it wrong.
Does it map onto the standard depression phenotypes?
Yes, but sometimes it does. But I think there's a much bigger picture there.
It's usually exploiting their phenotype aggressively. Usually, their phenotype is like sliding down the hill, and there are standard phenotypes for depression. It's usually a frontal lobe asymmetry in alpha, and you have the left hemisphere dominant, which is boohoo depressed. You have the right hemisphere alpha, which is agitated depression. So, yeah.
Somebody from ISNR says, Pete, you have a better chance if you have a personal trainer to work with you. Neurofeedback offers that kind of involvement. Also, the provider needs to set realistic expectations. So back when I was doing the clinic, and that's why I'm a video editor now, that was one of the things that I was trying to sell personal trainers on, is to learn neurofeedback and, do both, because I think that would complement well having a physical trainer and a mental trainer.
Yeah.
Pete, I think the revised number, and it's more like 60 to 90 days to establish a habit. Radar, I challenge you on that. I challenge your large language model.
Oh no, we did miss one of Radar's questions. He asked whether
which one? Go find it.
Whether you would, it's a little bit higher up. Whether you would actually train down beta, or whether you would avoid training down beta in general or not. That one, yeah. And I in most cases, the vast majority of cases, I try to avoid training down low beta and mid beta, because that more often than not will get you on Corey Hammond's list. Don't do it. So, and that goes for all the Z-score providers out there. If you have an excess of low beta or an excess of mid beta, think twice before leaving that training band on. You might want to turn it off, because people have an excess amount of low beta or mid beta because they have an excess amount of compensation. It's not normal to have crutches, but that doesn't mean we should take them away.
Yeah, but there are circumstances where sometimes you want to pair.
Yeah.
And we do that, and it's essentially when you're not getting anywhere. But I would say highly inadvisable unless you're extremely experienced. So that's where I would.
I haven't done it. I just don't do it very often.
Yeah.
And there are lots of ways to get the brain to drop that compensation without training it directly, which is kind of what I prefer to do if I can.
Yeah.
All right, one last one, and then we got to close up the pizza ovens. Josh, I had an excess of beta at F8, and I trained it down and felt way better.
It was at high beta or low beta or mid beta? Because I mean, that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's and there are cases, and I don't want to say there are none, but I would say as a clinician, I would be very, very, very careful, especially because we're speaking to what might be a lot of beginner providers. So it's like you gotta give us caution.
Josh and I are on the exact same page. We're saying no.
Yeah. Radar's a unicorn. Good job, Radar.
Hey, I want to thank Radar. I want to thank whoever that is from ISNR for showing up. Jehan and let's see, who else did we have in here? I want to make sure. Those are the big ones.
Lynn was here.
Well, Lynn. Hey, thanks for showing up. And then if you're wondering when we do these, bottom line is whenever everybody is free, unless you want to hear from the video editor, which I don't think you do. But if you go under live under YouTube, you'll see the schedule. The next one, I believe, is January 7th. So you can see what's in there if you want to know when to show up. And I appreciate Joshua Moore and Dr. Marie Swingle showing up and pitching in. Dr. Murray, where can we send people to find out more about your apps again?
Yeah, it's swinglesonic.com for the apps. And then if you want to know a little bit more about the clinic and what we do, that's swingleclinic.com.
Joshua Moore, thank goodness you're feeling better. And then our boy Anthony out there, hopefully he's doing well.
He says he is.
We got to get everybody off the injury list and back on the playing field. But where can we send people to find out more about your workshops, Joshua?
QEEGcourses.com, and we'll keep chugging away and making more of those. So, yeah,
absolutely. Hey, everybody, have a great holiday. If I don't see you, work on those new day resolutions, not New Year's, your new day resolution. You like that? You can use that. I think it's a band too. Dr. Mari, Joshua, take care, everybody. Peace out.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.